This is Hannibal back here, and I'm going to do an AEW All Elite Wrestling roster review. Let's start right now. Aaron Solo, don't know who it is. Action Andretti, heard of him, don't know who it is. Adam Cole, people know who he is. I'm going to say over. Adam Copeland, over, out with an injury. Adam Page, somewhat over to the smart marks, not quite over to the mainstream. Alex, not saying he's not talented. Alex Reynolds, not over. Angelico, I'm going to say not over to the mainstream. Angelo Parker, I have no idea who that is. Anthony Bowens, no idea who that is. Anthony Agogo, I've heard of him. I'm saying some of these guys are solid to have on your roster, but not necessarily over. Davari, how has Davari worked his way into a job still? I mean, he's a good worker, but I wouldn't say he's over. Austin Gunn, Billy Gunn's son. Billy Gunn has a lot of pull there. I think they've got something going with him and his sons. Bandito over to the smart marks and Mexicans. Not saying he's not worth having on your roster. Big Bill, big upside to Big Bill, aka I forget what his WWE name was. Big Cass. I'm a fan of his. Happy for him. He deserves it. Billy Gunn, good guy to have, and he's over. He's known. Bishop Khan, not over. And I'm not saying these guys are bad. I'm just saying they're not over. Brian Cage, he should be used a lot more. They hardly use him. So I'll say for Brian Cage, could be over a lot more. Brody King, they seem to be using him decently, and he's definitely Brian Cage, Brody King, and Billy Gunn are all three I'd want on my roster. Brian Danielson over. Brian Keith, never heard of him. Buddy Matthews, they use him regularly. Good build on him. Good guy. Cash Wheeler. The Jim Cornette fans all love FTR, so I'm not going to say that they shouldn't have Cash Wheeler or Dax Hartwood. Chris, they're over. I'm not saying they're not over. Chris Jericho's over. Christian Cage over, very good hire. Christian's doing a great job there. Even though he's not appearing on a lot of the Canadian shows he was advertised for, same with Jericho. Chuck Taylor, I've heard the name, know nothing about him. Claudio's being used at about the same level he was used in WWE, good hand. Colt Cabana, when was the last time we've seen him used? I've met him, seems like a nice guy. But it's strange that I can't remember seeing him used forever. Colton Gunn, as I said, the guns are, why not? Dalhousen or Danhausen, good character. I don't know how much they've used him. If I had a roster, I would keep Dan Danhausen, whatever his name is, as a lower card guy. He's a good character, good lower card character. Daniel Garcia, don't know much about him. Dante Martin, I've heard the name. Not saying they're good or bad. I haven't seen enough about them. Darby Allin, really good. He's really over. Hold on. Okay, Darby Allin. Darius Martin, don't know much about him. Dax Hartwood, as I said, he's doing good. Drastilico again for the Mexicans and smart marks, but not. I mean, they've got a lot of the high flyers, an overabundance of them. I'm not saying anything bad about him. He's got a cool look. I'd have to know more about him. Dustin Rhodes, he's doing great. They should probably use him more. Dutch, don't know much about him. Eddie Kingston, sorry he got hurt on the New Japan show, and he's going to be out for a year. But he's over. Jack Perry's over. Should be used better than this current stuff. He could be. They could do better job with the angle. Isaiah Cassidy, don't know him. Hook, don't know much about him other than he's Taz's son. That supposedly is a very good-looking kid. Why not give him a shot if they got the nepotism going? Griff Garrison, I know he used to be Brian Pillman Jr.'s partner. That's all I know. Evil Uno, they gave him an interview with our channel, by far the biggest wrestling channel in Canada. He no-showed the interview. Good jobber. Good jobber to have. I'd keep him and use him as a lower card guy. I'm not saying that they should release Uno. I would keep him as a lower card jobber type guy. Jake Hagar, they've released. Jay Lethal, I haven't heard much from him in AEW. Good hand. I've used him before in Great North Wrestling. Jay White sounds like a good hand. I wouldn't. He's not quite over to the mainstream yet. Hopefully he will be. Jeff Hardy, my God. I mean, he's been healed from the broken nose forever now, and they haven't used him. Jeff Jarrett. I mean, they should be using guys like Jeff Jarrett more to get the people watching, as far as I'm concerned. They should be using Jeff Jarrett more because he'll get people to watch the younger guys that aren't over. John Silver, I know nothing about. Johnny TV, another guy they're not using enough. John Moxley, another guy that was advertised for every single Canadian show and they didn't use. They should be using him more. Josh Woods, know nothing about him. Juice Robinson, I heard he just came back. I heard he's a good hand. Shibata, he's a good hand. Okada, good hand. Keith Lee seems to have done better than he did in WWE. Good hand, decent physique guy. Kenny Omega, great wrestler as far as putting on good matches, entertaining personality. Kill Switch, great wrestler. I'd keep him. There's the only thing I'm gonna say is there's so many guys that they have. They do have a lot of good wrestlers, a lot of potential. Kip Sabian, small wrestler, decent look. Commander, I know he's popular with the Mexicans. This is Takashita. I don't know. Never really seen him wrestle. He complains publicly about the company. Ibushi, another. Again, they've got a lot of Japanese guys. How many Japanese guys can you get over at once in an American company? I don't know. How many Americans can you get over when you have rosters this sizes? I don't know. Kyle Fletcher, I've heard of him. Kyle O'Reilly, decent hand. Not could get a bit more muscular. Lance Archer, great wrestler. I would have him for sure. Lee Johnson, Lee Morelli. I don't know anything about them. I would say they're on the not over list. I'm not saying that they couldn't get over. I'm just saying they're on the not over list. Luther, I mean, if he's part of the Jericho deal, I've seen some of his stuff in his younger days. He's not bad. And I'm glad he's getting a paycheck. Because he wasn't when he was in his prime, and he probably should have had one when he was in his prime. Malachi Black, they're using him well, and they're using him regularly. He's not one of the guys I think that should be complaining. Mark Briscoe, I mean, good guy, good wrestler, good guy to have. Mark Davis, never heard of him. Mark Sterling, I've heard the name, haven't seen him in action. I would put these three all in not over. Mario Quinn or Mark Quinn, not over. I'm not saying the not over guys don't have potential again. Matt Menard, not over. Matt Siddell, I mean, he's about the same level he was in WWE. Good hand to have. Matt Tavern, it's a name I've heard a lot. I wouldn't say it's over to mainstream fans. Sorry. Of course, Matt Jackson, one half of the highest paid tag team, the Young Bucks, that are founders of AEW. No issues with them on the roster. Max Caster, don't know much about him. I've heard the name. Michael Nakawada, Nakazawa, no idea who he is. No idea. Won't say anything. Mike Bennett, I mean, he's been around a long time. Is he over? No. Miro, he would be in the Jake Hager list of I mean, Jake Hager was way more over in WWE than Miro. Jake Hager was a world champion, but Miro, I mean, he's done nothing in AEW of relevance. MJF, he's one of the cornerstones of the show. Brody Lee, may he rest in peace. Best of luck to his son. Nicholas Jackson, again, one of the highest paid tag teams, the highest paid tag team of all time, according to reports. Good for them. Nick Comoroto, not one of the not over guys. Nick Wayne, one of the not over guy. Orin Cassidy, I mean, he's over in AEW. I'm not going to deny that he's done his gimmick well and he's over. Ortiz, I think people know him. Pac, people know him again. These are guys that people know to fill out your roster. Paul White, what has he done at AEW lately in the last few years? I don't know. His singles record. He's been under contract for how long? He's got a 0-0 singles record, 0-0 tag team record, 0-0 trio records. Penta, met him, nice guy. I would have him for sure. He's a great guy. Peter Avalon, I don't know anything about. I actually thought they'd released him. And according to this, his record in AEW is, maybe they're not even updating this. I guess we can see how infrequently they wrestle when we look at their record. See Ortiz, for instance. I don't know what this record is. He's 0-1 in tag team. So is he on the roster and he's only wrestled one time? Or no, overall, yeah, 0-1. So Ortiz has been under contract and he's 0-1. It's interesting that they have career. Oh no, this is 2024. Okay, I get it now. And then their career. So you can see how many times in their career they've wrestled for AEW. Or yeah, I'm gonna guess. So Paul White has wrestled 8 times. Or no, I don't know if that's a 6 or an 8. I don't have my glasses on. But Paul White has been in AEW since I was in SWE Fury, which was quite a few years ago. So good for him in getting paid. Powerhouse Hobbs. My God, is this list ever going to end? Powerhouse Hobbs, great guy to have on your roster. Preston Vance, I don't know anything about him. I'll put all 4 of these next guys on the not over list. Oh no, sorry, Ray Phoenix, people know. Good wrestler. Prince Nana and Prince Nana, no one mainstream doesn't know. Ricky Starks, people know. I've heard good things about Ray Phoenix and Ricky Starks. So I take that back about the 4. There's only 2 on there that aren't over to mainstream. Roderick Strong, my God, I don't know. I don't see what the smart marks like about him, but they do. But regular fans don't care about him. Roosh, he's a good guy to have on your card. Sammy Guevara has been there since the start. Good heel. Samoa Joe, great guy to have. Satnam Singh, big guy, not really over. Scorpio Sky, he's a good guy to have on your cards. Serpentico or whatever his name is, another CMML guy. Sean Dean, I don't know anything about him. Sanjay Dutt, he's still around. Is he one of the over ones? No. Icon Sting, yes, he's an icon. I'm really getting bored of this. Sorry, fans. Good, thanks for hanging in there, those who have. Toa Leona, don't know anything about him. The Butchers, he seems like a good worker. The Blade, don't know much about him. I thought the Blade was released. I guess he's not. Swerve Strickland, he's the champion. Tony Nese, I don't know much about him. He'd be on the not over list, but I know he was in WWE. He's been around, but he's always been a really lower card guy. Good hand, I guess so. Trent Beretta, heard the name a lot. Vincent from the Righteous, don't know anything about. Wardlow, there's a guy that's been underused. 2024, 4-0. Why has Wardlow only had 5 matches in 2024? He should have gone to WWE when his contract expired. He has way more potential than he is being used for, in my opinion. Wheeler, Utah. No idea who he is. Will Ospreay, the smart marks love him. Okay. Let's now look at the Ring of Honor roster, which is also people under AEW contract. Hold on a second here. Ring of Honor roster. Sorry, I don't usually do these screen things. Okay, present. Here we go. We're going to do the Ring of Honor now, which is the same company. Do they even... I guess there's some different people. Angelico's on both. Anthony Henry, I don't know. How over is the Ring of Honor roster? I don't know. Anitha, I've heard of. Billy Starks, I've heard of. Bishop Com, I've not heard of. Bobby Cruz, I've not heard of. Boulder, I've not heard of. Brian Cage, again, why is he in Ring of Honor? Where he's not making a buzz. Brian Cage has been a waste. I know he's making good money. Good for him, but like he should be used a lot better. Bronson. I mean, I'm not saying these guys are bad or anything. I'm just saying like there's no buzz at all about them. Charlie Bravo. No wonder people are leaving like for these Ring of Honor tapings. These people just aren't getting over. Charlotte Renegade, Christopher Daniels. I didn't even know he was still wrestling. Man, nothing wrong with him, but like there should be more buzz about that Chris Daniels is still wrestling. Claudio, I guess, is still in Ring of Honor. Cole Carter, never heard of him. Dalton Castle, I mean, I know he's one of the staple Ring of Honor guys. Daniel Garcia, I've heard of him, but I mean, most of these guys, they're just not getting over past whoever's watching this Ring of Honor app or whatever it is. Diamante, I've seen her. There's a match of her and Tessa Blanchard on my channel. Eddie Kingston, good wrestler. Griff Garrett, again, a lot of these guys are also in AEW. JD Drake, Jack Jameson, Jay Briscoe. Jay Briscoe's known, of course. Kyle Fletcher, I've heard the name. Lady Frost, I've heard the name. But it's like for the Ring of Honor people, they're not really pushing them. Like when Sinclair owned Ring of Honor, we knew who was in Ring of Honor. Lee Johnson, Lee Moretti, Lilia Hish, Marina Schaffer, I've heard of her. Mark Briscoe, Matt Tavern, I've heard the name. Mercedes Martinez, I know her. Mike Bennett, again. And I'm not saying these are people that shouldn't be in Ring of Honor, but I'm just saying there should be more buzz about it. Rachel Ellering, there's a match of her against Tessa Blanchard on my channel. Robin Renegade, never heard of. Serpentico, I think he's on the AEW again. Shane Taylor, heard of him too. He has a good look to him. Just saying they should be more over. Sean Dean, not familiar with. Toa, however you say his last name. He looks good, but I haven't heard of him. Tony Nese, different pose, ROH roster. Trish Adora, never heard of her. Wheeler, Utah, I think I may have heard of them. All right, the last one, we're going to look at the office of AEW. Oops. Okay, here we go. Let's see who's in the office. Why am I even doing this to give myself a headache this late at night? I really don't know. I really don't know at all. We're going to Wikipedia. Okay. Let's, oh my God. No, I'm not going back through the women's division. We're not going to go through their on-air personalities or their referees. They have a huge, okay, let's look at their broadcast team. Okay, some of these are different languages. I don't even want to read their broadcast team. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Their coaches, Chris Hero, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, Jimmy Jacobs, who there is an interview with Jimmy Jacobs on the channel, Kevin Matthews, Michelle Nakawaza, Sarah Stock, I know her. Scotty Too Hottie. Tony Chimmel. Didn't know Tony Chimmel was working for AEW. Backstage personnel. Amanda Huber. Jake Manning. Katie Hebner. Ric Flair is an ambassador. Ric Flair is. Here's another thing that I don't understand. And why do you have Ric Flair and not? Why do you have these people that would get ratings? We saw by that outburst at the pizza place, Ric Flair was the most talked about wrestler, possibly since The Rock appeared in WWE. Rick has the potential to get ratings and attention and to maybe get a younger guy over, and they do nothing with him. How is he even an ambassador? An ambassador of making a fool of himself? Like, give me a break. Vice presidents, we won't even get into that because I don't know any of them. I think we got to look at managers. Okay, here we are. This is what I was missing. CJ is the valet of Miro, occasional wrestler. We hardly ever see her. Alex Ambrate is manager of Death Triangle and Commander. Don Callis, of course, he's doing great. Jake Roberts, manager of Lance Archer, who we never see on camera. Again, Jake Roberts is someone that people would actually watch for, but they're not using him on camera. Karen Jarrett is a valet and occasional wrestler. I wonder how much she makes. Luther is also a manager. Maria Kanellis Bennett. Again, she was over in WWE. Why do I not even know that she's even in the company? Anyways, at least a lot of people are making money off of Tony Khan. That's all I can say. Let's go to the comments here. Hello, Inbone Studio. Ethan Page has a company in Hamilton, but I guess he's in NXT now. It's a company that runs a Legion. I think he wrestled MJF there, and I went there when Harry Smith was on the card. People need to watch the whole AEW shows. Well, why don't the clips on YouTube make us want to watch it? If I saw something on YouTube that interests me and made me want to watch it, I would watch it. I skipped Nick Wayne, sorry. I've heard the name. They have over 100 male wrestlers. But I'm also saying they should use the names more. Like, I understand you want to get young talent over, but young talent that's a no name against another young talent that's a no name is not going to get any of these talent over other than the people that like watching wrestling. But if you're flipping through and you see one of these, like for instance, Nick Wayne, he's a guy, maybe you guys know him. I don't know him that well. If I see him against Jack Swagger, I'll watch for a little bit. Maybe if he beats Jack Swagger, okay, that's cool. Or if I see Ric Flair managing him, maybe I'll watch. But it's going to be hard to capture like new fans unless you have all these older guys under contract that are known better, but you don't use them. Yeah, Ortiz, I know who he is. I have no issues with Ortiz. 65 women and over 100 men on the roster. Did I not review the ladies? Did I not review the ladies? Oh my God. I'll go back and review the freaking ladies. I am so sorry that I have to do this. Hold on. Why did I come up with this idea? Well, I guess I should know this stuff, right? May as well watch it with you guys. It makes it a little bit easier. Let's go through the ladies. Abandon. I've seen lots of pictures of. Anna Jay. Again, I'm not going to pick on all these people. Anitha, Ring of Honor World Champion. Again, I'll just say over, not over. Dr. Britt Baker over. Deanna Peruzzo, she seems to I'm not gonna she seems to be talked about a lot. I know her. Diamante, I mean, she's not really over in AEW. Sakura, not really over. Harley Cameron, not over. Hiraru Shida, not over. Jamie Hayter, I've heard the name. Julia Hart, over. Kira Hogan, I've heard of her name a lot. I'm going to say she's over. Chris Statlander, over. Leah Gray, and I'm not saying anything if they're not over other than they're not being promoted well enough. Leah Gray and Leah Hirichi, I don't have a clue who they are. Madison Rain, I've heard of her from Impact, I think. Maria May, I've heard of her. Maria Schaefer, I've heard of her. Mercedes Martinez, I've heard of her. Mercedes Monet, probably the most famous woman they have on the roster, the former Sasha Banks. Mother Wayne, never heard of her. Nyla Rose, everybody knows the whole Nyla Rose concept. She was been in the she'll I think be around in AEW as long she'll be like one of the AEW Hall of Famers because she's the chosen one to represent that demographic. Paige Van Zant. I heard that she quit wrestling, but I could be wrong. Penelope Ford, I've heard of her. Queen Aminta, never heard of her. Rebel, I is that Matt Hardy's wife, Rebel? I don't know. Red Velvet, I've heard of her. Riho, I've heard of her. Ruby Soho, she's over. Red Velvet, I would say, is over too. Soraya is over and not used enough. Soraya should be used a lot more, the former Paige. She could give credibility to a lot of these ones that aren't as over. Serena Deb, I've heard the name a lot. Sky Blue, I've heard the name a lot. There was a big controversy with her in Edmonton. Taya Mello, or I think she's the one that goes out with, I forget his name. I've read way too many names tonight. But she's somewhat over. Taya Valkyrie, she could be used a lot better. I wouldn't as much as I like John Morrison and her. I don't think she's been used to her full potential in AEW. Thunder Rosa has been, and I have an interview with Thunder Rosa on the channel. I mean, Thunder Rosa has been around since the start of AEW. Toni Storm, she's over. Willow Nightingale, she's over. Yuka Sasaki, over. Okay, so they do have the broadcast team, which I'm not going to go through. Not going to go through. The coaches, for everyone that was wondering if Arn Anderson still has a job, Arn Anderson does. I don't know anything about Pat Buck, but I've heard good things. He used to work for WWE. So anyways, we've now gone through the women. Thank you, DK. A lot of talent was released and brought back. Yeah. I remember when here's one of the dumb ones, okay? The other guy from the Dark Order, there was one guy from the Dark Order that's from this area whose name is not coming to me. Evil Uno's partner. I don't know why his name is not coming to me. They released him, then they brought him back. They did nothing with him. Then they did the whole tour around here. Didn't use him, but used locals that you'd have to pay a fee, and then release him after not using him in this area. Doesn't even make sense. The shows may have different rosters, but they all appear on the same shows. When you go to a taping, it's just the crowd leaves. After the crowd leaves when Ring of Honor starts because they don't have Ring of Honor over. Ring of Honor, we did a poll on this channel. It was 91% actually said it was more over during previous eras than it is now when it's the best funded than it ever has. Ring of Honor has good pay-per-views. Maybe they should just have less shows and just pay-per-views, or turn. Here's an idea. Just turn one of those. Turn either Collision or Rampage into Ring of Honor. Make it a brand and stop doing these ridiculously long 5+ hour tapings. Ring of Honor is behind a paywall, so most people don't see it. But when you go to a taping and then you're stuck, you leave with a bad taste in your mouth when the tapings are so long and there's so many people you don't know. So that's one of the attendance issues. Ric Flair is an ambassador. He put that pizzeria over. Archer is hosting Jake the Snake's podcast. I don't know why Jake hasn't been managing Archer. Maybe it's his health, but I know they just re-signed Jake, and I'm glad that they've signed Jake because he'd have to be out there working the indies. God knows. One of the reasons why probably Jake is doing so well is he's had a regular paycheck for so long, but there's just they have to do a better job of getting people over and making better use of the people they have, because they have great rosters. There's too many people. But, and as I said, for the people that I said is not over, I'm not necessarily saying it's your fault. I'm saying for whatever reason, you're not being used properly. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Everyone I've said on there, I wish the best of luck, honestly. And be happy that you have this opportunity, and make the most of it, because there's still a lot of indie wrestlers that never get that opportunity. I don't think there's that many people that wish the death of it. There's a lot of people that just get mad at some of the foolish stuff they do that makes wrestling look bad. Every damn show is for AEW, ROH. For the most part, it's mid and low level wrestler. That's the one thing I don't understand too. Why don't they use the better known wrestlers? Why are we always seeing mid and low level wrestlers? Why are most of the people in some cases not even on the show that are advertised on the posters? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm confused as hell. Hopefully they can turn themselves around. Thank you for the people that watched it. It took 32 minutes and 30 seconds to go through AEW's roster. Exactly. I heard Brian Alvarez say, this guy's a friggin' wrestling guy that loves still watching wrestling. He didn't even stay around past the Rampage tapings last week. AEW's graphics and presentation are awesome, but the wrestling and promos are indie-rific. I agree that their graphics and presentation are pretty good. AEW is PWG with $1 million budget and tons of legends under contracts that they don't use, like Mark Henry, who was barely used in 3 years. Which, as I said, I would have used Mark Henry for something. I would have put him out there with somebody to get over. We just named so many people that aren't over. Well, Mark Henry's sitting at home. Why not just have him come out with somebody for the 2 years he was doing nothing, just to get that guy over? Like, Darby Allin gave it his all. I respect Darby Allin, but like, he wouldn't be where he is today without Sting. It helps when you have a famous guy to get you over.